arresting this individual?
If he hasn't violated any laws in our state, in our county, then I will stop the best as I could.
Thank you.
I actually think that's a fairly easy question. If they're coming in and it infringes upon his constitutional rights, they won't touch him in my county.
I agree.
I would research the law that you was talking about, and I would fight them back with their same words that they're trying to impose on me, find the loophole, but I would still run them out of the county.
Okay, Mr. Hartley, this is a long one here. U.S. Congress and the FAA have approved and are implementing the deployment of 10,000 unmanned drones to fly over the United States. These drones are already being used domestically by the federal agencies such as the EPA, ICE, and many others. Federal Aviation Administration has to provide a certificate of authorization to anyone who wants to fly a drone aircraft. According to the EFF, in a meeting with the FAA in April of this year, the agency confirmed that there were about 300 active COAs and that the agency has issued about 700 to 750 authorizations since the program began in 2006. Some sheriff departments are already using these. What is your opinion on the use and safety of drones overflying private citizens, and would you use them?
So that paragraph, basically the question was, would I condone using drones in Nassau County?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I just had to educate you all on the current status.
I believe that there's certain areas that would benefit the citizens and the sheriff's office where you could use an unmanned drone. I remember when I worked at the sheriff's office and they did drug eradication and they used a helicopter to fly over, and there's not a whole lot of stealth involved with those. If it was something in that instance, I would not take issue with it. If it's something that infringes upon people's backyards or trying to monitor traffic, then I would take an issue with it. But I have no problem when you're trying to do drug eradication, using the tools that you have to do the best job you can.
Yeah, certainly it depends on what it's being used for. I know we used to use aircraft to fly around, particularly rural areas, looking for marijuana growth plants, which is very easy to see from the air, believe it or not. And if you have drones flying around that has cameras, you can certainly pick those up and eradicate them. But it just depends on what it's for. Of course, I'm not all that familiar with the question you're asking, but I think if it can protect our citizens as it to rid drugs from our community, I think it can be a good thing.
First of all, I don't approve of the drones, and the reason why is it could infringe on your privacy. If you're breaking the law, growing marijuana or whatever, I have no problem flying over your property to look for evidence of a crime or elements of the crime. With that, if you're going to fly over a piece of property or anything looking for narcotics, you have to have a spotter, a certified spotter by the state. Certified spotter will not fit in an unmanned aircraft. That's why they're unmanned.
I believe that the use of a drone has some intelligence capability, but if it infringes on personal rights, I wouldn't use them. I believe a drone will probably have a bunch of federal strings attached to it, and I probably would never use one. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Leeper, would you consider instituting a senior citizen hotline to aid in prevention of fraud and crime for that valuable segment of our county here?
Most definitely. I think it's very important to have an avenue where citizens can report issues that concern them. Having a hotline where you can call to report something that is a concern of yours, certainly should be a concern of the sheriff's office, and something that they can follow up on. But having an avenue where there's a hotline or some other way to communicate with our citizens is very important.
I have no problem with a hotline. The only thing with a hotline is it's going to come to the taxpayers, the burden of footing the bill. Right now, we work off of the hotline out of Jacksonville, which is Crime Stoppers. Everything that happens within our county is actually being forwarded to us from Crime Stoppers. So if they're willing to foot the bill, let's let them foot the bill, and we'll just answer the calls.
I believe in the hotline. We need a way for our local seniors to notify our local law enforcement agency. I know that Crime Stopper has theirs. I don't know what the turnaround is on how fast it gets back to us. But if we had a local line, I'd be willing to, use funds within the sheriff's office to fund that hotline. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Roden. Recently, the Supreme... What, am I missing? Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll be quick.
Sorry.
I believe if we have the fiscal capability that you should institute any program that would be to the benefit of the taxpayers, whether it be senior citizens or the younger generation. If we can fiscally, be fiscally responsible enough to implement those programs, then I'm all for them.
Yeah. Okay. We'll try this one again here. Mr. Garland, recently the Supreme Court ruled on Arizona's illegal immigration laws. A key component of the law was upheld. However, the federal government was affirmed as the only party who can enforce the immigration laws and not the individual states. Is this an erosion of state sovereignty? And how would you handle illegal immigration in Nassau County?
That is a pretty hard one. The problem with the illegal immigration in the county is that right now we don't have the resources to handle it. We have very little people that can translate it, and because of the translation problem, most of the deputies out here don't know what to do, so they just cutting them loose. But I would try to get the deputies trained to where they can handle it, and if they're here illegally and the law says that I can do something, then we're going to do it.
I believe it does erode our sovereignty as a state. We should have access to the database that the Border Patrol agency uses. But Arizona's law, that's what they've been confronted with. They can do what their law, but they can't get into the database. So if you can't get into the database, how are you going to do your job? And by not being able to do your job and mandated by the federal government, they're the ones directing this. They're tying the state's hands in order to deal with local illegal immigrants. And so, we've got to get our hands on this database. Thank you.
U.S. Supreme Court Justice ruled in 1996 that state sovereignty supersedes anything that the federal government can try and shove down our throats. If you come to the state of Florida or the county of Nassau and you break the law, you will be brought to justice.
There's a program called Secured Communities across our country. Not all states are a part of that, but many states are. Florida is one of the states. All 67 counties are part of that Secured Communities process. When someone commits a crime in our county, they go to jail. They're fingerprinted. Their fingerprints are sent to check to see if they're wanted for other issues. They go to the FBI. They will automatically research the database. And if they're in this country illegally, they'll go to the Immigration and Enforcement ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. You spit it out. and if they're in this country illegally, depending on the law they've committed, that they will be deported.
Yep. All right, I'm glad nobody objected to the use of the term illegal immigrants here, such as calling them undocumented immigrants. It's like calling a drug dealer an undocumented pharmacist, isn't it?